everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Star Sitdown. Thank you for coming back to the podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you to our audio listeners. Today, I am here with the magnificent, the talented Miss Harmony Austin. Hello, Harmony. How are you doing?
I'm good, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. It feels good to have you on. For those who don't know Harmony, she's a very talented actress, writer, comic. She's jack of all trades. But we've been friends for a while. So I'm really excited to have her on the podcast. So, Harmony, you could tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Harmony H-Bum Austin. Like Kim said, I'm a playwright, comedian. I like to do everything that I can get my little hands on. Currently I'm the marketing director at Jane Doe Theatre Company. I have a cat. His name is Lando. What else? I'm a Taurus sun, Pisces moon, Leo rising.
Can't forget that. That's the most important part.
Essential information.
So we talked a little bit beforehand about this semester and how it's been going for you. So how did you feel coming into this semester, and how was your winter break?
So this semester so far has been going well. Last semester I piled so much on to my plate because I was like, everything's going to be online, and I'm no longer going to things every night. I'm not as busy. So I want to keep myself busy and not focus on the pandemic. And then it just went horribly, horribly wrong because I just got so burnt out. So this semester is good. It's a lot more calm. And so far everything's, going pretty well. I like my classes and my teachers so far. But over the break, I got COVID. One of my mom owns, the family business, and one of the employees came in after picking up her kid from school because his teacher had COVID. It was a whole mess, but she signs the payroll, so she has to go. She's essential. But anyway, my first day of COVID was on Christmas, so it was a whole. And I was sick for 3 weeks because I had the virus and then it turned into a sinus infection. And so I was sick for way longer than, most COVID patients are. So Christmas break was kind of just sick and exhausting, but I'm doing great now. Everything's, knock on wood, but.
So that's remarkable, that story, because it really shows how this thing really spreads and how it gets so many people so fast. So one kid's parent had it from your mom's coworker, and then your mom passed it on to you.
Yeah. She found out the day after I came home from, college for the holidays and whatnot. So there was no way that I wasn't going to get it. I could have just stayed home for the holiday. I could have just stayed in San Marcos, but I live alone, and I feel that would have been really depressing. So,
How were your holidays, given how was Christmas and everything, considering the whole family, or at least you and your mom were sick?
There's my mom, my stepdad, my little brother, he's 13.
Mm-hmm.
He's 13. And then there's me. So all of us got sick, and my mom started feeling symptoms first, and then my stepdad tested positive for it 2 days later. And then I went to get tested. My stepdad took my little brother with him to get tested, and he tested negative, and then I tested negative. But we live in the same house. It was the holidays, so we just kind of stayed in. But what really stinks about it is I've been really, really careful. Me personally, I live alone. I have not gone out. Even my therapist is you need to leave the house. And I'm there's a pandemic, it hurts my head. But then like my family over the summer, my little brother plays baseball and they've been like traveling. Over the summer, I got mad because my stepdad went to Home Depot without a mask. Uh,
Hi.
yeah, like he's just that kind of person. But I was the one who got the most sick. Like everybody else, they symptoms came and went. And then I like even after I came back from like visiting for the holidays, I was still just like in my apartment, just just feeling gross. The student health center like wouldn't even let me go in. They were like, no, we'll give you
Oh,
medicine, but like stay out of our building.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That really does suck. It's because like I'm the same way, like I have asthma. I'm like really careful. Like the only real person I see frequently is my girlfriend, but even then, like if she sees somebody else, it's like, well, who is this person? Like, what if they, I'm like very like meticulous and like safe about that type. And if something like that happened to me, where it's like not even like my fault, and you like bear like the most consequences of everybody, it's just that's a pain. I'm
Yeah,
sorry about that. At least you're doing better now, and it could
yeah,
have been worse. I guess that's the bright side.
could have.
But
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about your work with Jane Doe Theatre Company.
Yeah, so I started at Jane Doe back in June-ish. Time isn't real right now, but June feels right. Um, and their old marketing director had graduated, and so they were looking for someone. And I had just quit another organization, and I was just like kind of sad because I going into a new year, I didn't really have anything to do. Like there was nothing lined up. Sooner or later, things started lining up. But so they sent out like a, hey, we're looking for, 2 positions. And I was like, why not? And then, so I applied and then eventually they were like, yeah, no, come be our marketing director. And so that's just been a lot of fun. I've really found that I've like marketing and I like doing this type of thing, graphic design ish. I do my best, but I really, really like, just the work that I'm doing, the, social media, digital stuff. But also one of the things that like really drew me to Jane Doe was their passion for new works, and like plays that haven't been done yet or plays that are still in development, because I think new works are like super underrated, and they need to be done more. There needs to be more of a market and more of a, what is it, pull, I guess, for them. I'm bad with words, that's why I write them down. But and I'm a playwright, so obviously like that, like, hey, I can get my work done by this, like potentially I'm on the board, so like I don't submit,
Hmm.
but like potentially somebody in my place could benefit from this organization. And so that's just been like, that's been the best part, is like getting to watch plays develop and grow as we're working with them.
What type of stuff are you guys working on like this semester? I know you said you're like the commitment to new work, but you also had told me earlier that like stuff was in development now, right?
Yeah. So this semester we're doing, our season is in collaboration with the Jeremy Torres Lab Theater, which is a brand new theater company out of the 209 Black Box in the theater center. And it's like normally like the Jeremy Torres Lab Theater is in charge of like the space, but obviously right now we can't all be in the space. But they're still, really, really helpful. And it's a great, great program for like the performance and production majors who like want to create theater and create their own opportunities. Like Jeremy Torres, that was such a great idea to start, and I'm really thankful for it. Last semester, a play that I wrote went up in Jeremy Torres, and it was an amazing experience. But with Jane Doe, currently we're doing virtual readings of 3 different plays, 2 10 minutes and 1 act. And they're going to go up April 9th through the 11th, I think, are the dates. I'm really bad at math numbers. But yeah, so like there's 3 new works. We're doing The Loophole, which is a 1 act. We're doing a 10-minute called Yes, Queen Slay. And then we're doing another 10-minute called The Red Couch. And, we just picked out the directors. By the time this goes up, I think auditions will have been closed. But we're currently auditioning for, the season. And then eventually, we're going to put it up. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see how... over the break, we read all of like the plays that got submitted, and I'm really excited to see like what changes once we get a director in the room, once we in the Zoom room, mm-hmm. But like once we get a director in the space and once we get actors in the space, because that changes so much of the story, because when you're reading a play on the page. It's a play on the page. Like it's a story, there's structure, but when you add, collaborators, like that's when a story comes to life. Mm-hmm. And so, it's Jane Doe has been a blessing for me. I really love new works and the work that we're doing.
That makes me so happy. I mean, especially from seeing like when I originally met you to now, like you can really see the progression, because how we know each other is clearly, from the Comedy Association. And, I was just first semester freshman just coming in, and like I've said before, like the environment is like really kind of like cliquey and like everyone has their own group. And it was kind of hard for me to get into that. And for you to just like say to me like, hey, like, what's your name? Like, how's it going? And then just be like, oh, wow, you're pretty funny. Hey, guys, listen to him. He's pretty funny. And I was just like, oh, wow. So, I'm really happy you found an environment that really is able to hone your own craft and is really like productive. And you just have you have an environment that is like somewhat kind of tailored to you, Would you say so?
I would say so. I would. It's just been so much fun, especially because like we'll have our meetings and, we'll sit there for 30 to 45 minutes talking about like business, official Jane Doe business. And then what has happened in the past is like once we're done with like the business of it, we'll sit there for an hour, 2 hours, just like talking and like, supporting each other and finding out like, just what everyone's doing. And that was something that like, oh, hi Lando, my cat just emerged from under the couch. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm bad at words, so I write them down. But yeah, it's been a really good time.
Good. Yeah. So with the productions, are they going to be like on stage in person with like limited capacity in the theater? Like how would that go? Because I know you said that the reads are being virtually done now and there's going to be auditioning. So
yeah. So we are going to, I think, film them over Zoom. Nobody is going to like be in the same space, like unless they're already like in a bubble or like roommates or something like that. But yeah, it's just gonna be filmed over Zoom. It's gotta be like, we're still really trying to like keep up COVID protocols and quarantine and make sure nobody gets sick. Theater was like the first thing to go down, and it's gonna be the last thing to go up. after all of this is said and done. So we are doing our best online for now.
I understand. I was just I was curious of that per se, was just because I had overheard from somebody that like the theater is still doing like a live show with like somebody from like overseas, like this director. Have you heard about that? And they're
Uh,
like holding rehearsals in person, and it's just like everyone gets tested every week. And
yeah, no, the theater department is still
Mhm.
doing a few shows.
Okay, I understand now.
You know, the main stage season, I think there are a few shows that are going to be done like in person, but then like live streamed. And I think all of those are happening in like the Harrison. Don't quote me on this. You know, I'm really kind of in my own little bubble inside the theater department, just because, you know, that's what you got to do. You have to find your own, you know, what's the word? I don't want to say like clique, but like you have to find your people.
Yeah,
And
no.
I have. So, but yeah, no, they're doing a lot of, not a lot, but like off the top of my head, I think there are 3 shows that are being done with people in the same room. But I'm bad at math and that's numbers. So,
Okay.
but yeah, for this semester, I'm mainly working with, you know, Jane Doe and Jeremy Torres. Um, both of them are like named theaters, like with people names, but
Yeah, it sound like they'd be
love it.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like going, like gauging the conversation back to you. So I remember a while ago you had talked about like what you wanted to do as a career, and you wanted to do theater with children. Was that what you wanted to do?
Yeah. No, I really love children's media. I'm on this like self-discovery journey of like what I want to do when I graduate college. Um, you know, and with COVID and like being alone most of the time, like that changes all the time because, you know, time doesn't really count this year, I don't feel like. But yeah, no, I've always really loved children's media, and I think that like it's so much more serious and so much more, you know, valid than I think we give it credit for. Um, I remember growing up doing children's theater and like kids musicals, and they were so cheesy and they were all so stupid. And you know, I also went to a theater, and they were all, and this is like no tea, no shade, but like the theater company that I went to was like run by Mormons. And so like we would do these shows, but it was only like a handful of shows that went with like their mission statement, which was very just like bland. I mean, this theater company has done Smoke on the Mountain like 60 times every other season. In fact, they're doing it right now in the pandemic. Don't get me started on that. But
No, I mean, hey, listen, hey, whatever you're feeling, I'm listening. I'm being as receptive as I can. I love it. It's entertainment.
oh, for sure, for sure. But I remember I was always just like kind of like looked down on within this theater. And you know, very just like infantilized, very just like nobody took me seriously as a person. Um, and and I hated it. I hated it, but I knew I loved theater, so I kept going. And you know, this was a place that was like 3 minutes from my house. I'd pass it on my way every day to school. So like it was, you know, it was what I had. But I just, it wasn't a good place for me. And like, you know me, I'm a lot of person. Like I have a big personality, and I was just too big for them always. So you know, but that being said, what a lot of what I want to do is, when I work in like children's media, is just like give them subject matter that like I know they will understand. They understand so much. Kids are just so perspective, but I want them to have something that's interesting, and I want them to have something that they will, keep with them for the rest of their lives, if that makes sense. I
Just to clarify, so when you say that, do you mean like you would be like an educator, or would you like want to maybe like write material like for kids and work with them, or how like in what way would you try and change that for children? I mean,
um I think I would like write for them, and like my main thing that I do is I'm a writer. So I definitely want to write shows that are that I want to write shows that kids are gonna like. My style is very much like big, colorful. I really like writing in like the sci-fi and fantasy genres, respectively. But like that's the kind of work that I really like want to do and really like doing. Um, but yeah, I just think that there's so much that we don't talk about, that if we were to talk about it, the world would just be a better place and people would be happier and well off. But we don't, because, we want to keep kids, stupid, and we want to keep them obedient. And that's just, we're only hurting ourselves with that.
well, I want to get your opinion on this then, now that you bring that up. So what do you think about like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon like trying to address it? Like in June of last year, Nickelodeon, they like put out a statement like, like Black Lives Matter, like, and I think they aired something, it was like 8 minutes of like just silence, on like this children's like station is like Nickelodeon, and I think now Cartoon Network does a show. It has a black main character. I think it's like Craig of the Creek or something like that. I don't know. I don't. A lot of these shows, they're not like they used to be. So I can't like watch them like that. But anyway, I feel like in just like as a passive observer that companies are trying to change the way, like you've said, like treating kids as if like not as if they're dumb, and obviously I mean they want to use them for profit, but like trying to like educate them more about these issues. Have you seen like a difference in that sense more recently?
Yeah, no, I've definitely noticed companies doing that, and like I fully support it. I've noticed like a lot of parents that I'm friends with on Facebook are also really excited about it. But I also, I'm friends with like a lot of theater parents on Facebook, so obviously they're a little, liberal with their views. Um,
Yeah.
so so like of course they love it, and of course they want to teach their kids about, the what is happening in America and how America is and how America started. Like they want, to do better. I do think there is like a drive to do better, and there's a want for that. So yeah, no, I love that, media companies are doing stuff like that. But yeah, no, that is sort of like in the vein that I'm going for. That like with my personal style, that's like what I want to do. That's what I'm striving for, is to just like educate kids on the world and people and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, no, I remember watching Steven Universe. Like Steven Universe did a thing with you know, their characters and stuff like that, and they were like, I forget exactly what they said, but they basically were like Black Lives Matter and
Right.
mwah, mwah. Yeah.
Even like shows like Adventure Time with like Princess Bubblegum and Marceline, you know, they're a lesbian couple, and like The Legend of Korra, for example,
Yeah.
like that, like shows like that. That's kind of where I was like, you know, wow, this is really changing, you know, like oh, like 10 years ago, completely different, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
and it's just wild to see that. Another thing that I wanted to ask you, more like towards you, is how has it been not doing stand up for like the past year?
Well, I've been doing other things currently, but as far as like stand up goes, like I don't know of any open mics that are happening currently, and if they are, like I wasn't invited. But like
They aren't. They aren't.
yeah, so there's no open mics happening. I'm friends with a Dallas comedian on Facebook, and I know they're doing a few shows up there. But like I think they're really trying to like keep, you know, COVID protocols up. But for me personally, it I've had how do I want to put this? I've had a nice restful time not doing stand up. However, I miss it. I miss it so much. I find myself like standing in the bathroom looking at my mirror and I'm like, you know, writing jokes and like talking to myself. That's my favorite way to write jokes is to just like talk to myself. Um, and so no, yeah, I miss it. And I'm really scared that like once, you know, we see the other end of this and once like we come out of, you know, quarantine and stuff like that, that like there's not going to be a place for me within the comedy community. Um, I'm
Locally?
definitely just
Locally,
like
you mean, or in general?
just like in general because I've been out of practice for so long or
Yeah,
like haven't been going. I've
that's
been writing.
everyone. That's everyone, though. It's not just you. I don't think. Pardon me cutting you off. I just want to like. I don't think you would be excluded for that reason. You know, because it's like it's everybody. You know, like it's been almost a year for me personally, and a bunch of people. You know, they. So I don't. I think you'd be okay. I don't think you should. I don't think you should have that fear, especially like knowing you. I think you'd be good. And since you like you've been writing stuff, you know, like it's not like you haven't like kind of like been like preparing mentally for that moment. I think it's
Yeah.
just a matter of like being rusty because like understandably it's been a year, you know, one year plus. So yeah, continue. Sorry, I just wanted to make that clear. I think you do really good.
No, it's fine. And thank you for that validation. I need it.
Hmm.
But you know, but there have been, you know, like virtual open mics, which I that never interested me because I do like have a performer background, and I know that like the reason for that, like the reason for open mics and even doing stand-up comedy or performing in general is, you know, the energy exchange. That's what it's about. That's what it is. So there was really no, and that you don't get that over Zoom. Like you just don't. And so that was never something that interested me. And so like even thinking there are still people who are doing comedy and they're doing it any way they can. So I know that those people are going to come out just like a little bit like on top just because they're doing it and they're doing the work. But and also I don't even know, I'm going to like go out on a limb and say we're probably for 2021 we're still probably going to be like, even with the vaccine and stuff, we're going to be like at home still because we don't know who else getting the vaccine, you know. People are still not being, excuse me, people are still not being completely safe. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, you know, 2021, we're going to, you know, stay in place pretty much. But I graduate in December. So I don't even know if like, I don't even know what I'm going to be doing at that point, or where I'm going to be living. I've been, you know, thinking about a lot about Austin, and they have a great comedy scene. I did I did a performance at Fallout Theater. I did a sketch called Maxim the Dummy, and that was really fun. But I just personally, I know it's my last name, but I don't really like Austin. It's just the vibes are off. And I also just feel like that's where like everybody's going. And it's going to get more and more expensive. And I just like, it's not for me. However, that's like, I'm not completely throwing it out, but I'm also thinking about like, maybe Colorado would be fun, or like Atlanta has a lot of stuff, like artsy stuff that's happening. Albuquerque is getting like a Netflix.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Studio. Yeah, and I would love to write for Netflix. Like I would love that so much. Like the shows. I know you don't like Umbrella Academy. I know you don't like it.
I don't.
But I love it. And like there's a lot of shows. What else came out recently? I really liked Bridgerton. That was good.
Really?
Yeah, I liked it. I was a little disappointed because in the first episode, the very first episode, like 30 seconds in, there's that shot where like the Bridgertons and the...
I haven't seen it, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, I haven't seen it.
This is the first episode, though. Like it's 30
I know.
seconds.
I'm just letting you know, just in case.
Okay, no spoilers, but like there's a part where like two families are walking out and they live across the street, and then like two of like the young women like wave at each other, and I was like, lesbians. And then the whole season went by. That might be a spoiler, but I was like, okay. I was just mad at being wrong.
So you want to go to like a decent sized market, just like a market that's not like too big. So not like New York or LA, more like Atlanta, Denver, like, right?
Oh, my mail popped up. Right out of high school, I went to a performing arts school in New York, and just did not like it. Like I said with Austin, the vibe was off. Like it was, and I think it had a lot to do with like the school that I was attending, but it was very just like every man for himself. And of course that's, New York's reputation, but me being like a Texas girl, all the walking was just a lot. I was like, who's gonna drive us? And they're like, we're walking. And I'm like, no, we're not. That's 14 blocks. And they're like, yeah, just 14 blocks. It wasn't for me. I've heard, I'm from like DFW, like Fort Worth area. So I've heard that like LA is like kind of close to that sort of, living situation. I guess I've never been, but I've heard it's closer to living in Dallas than it is, than anywhere else is. But yeah, I wouldn't. I've also thought about Chicago. Chicago is really fun, and they have, a big comedy scene there. But my ex-girlfriend lives there. Last I checked, she lived there, so I don't want to be in like the same state as that. But yeah, no, I just want to live somewhere that like is fun, and I will thrive just like as a person. Like career-wise, I have been, going on this journey of like self-discovery, and I'm getting so many signs. Like I'm like very spiritual, and I do tarot cards and stuff like that, but like I've been getting so many signs from everywhere basically saying, slow down. It's going to happen for you. Just relax, do what you want to do. And, just, live. And so like while I am like chasing a career and wanting a career to happen, it's no matter where I end up, it's going to be on my own terms. And I think that's why like being a musical theater performer never really worked out for me, was because like you have to wake up at like 6 a.m. to be at like an open call, and like if you're non-ec, you don't even get seen until like 3 p.m. And it's so much like dance classes and so much you know, there's so much grinding in that life that I can't do it. I can't do it. I just need to like bumble around and like do things when I think of them, if that makes sense. Like, and I think that's why like writing is good for me, because I can do it by myself in my own little world. Or like video editing. I've been doing a lot of video editing. And like, yeah, I have a deadline. Like I have a deadline and I have to do things by a certain point, but like I don't have to be any specific place, you know, 9 to 5, and I can do it from home. Like
Right.
that's a huge thing too. So I'm just vibing at this point. Like that's the goal. But like I want to vibe in like a cute city, you know.
No, I understand. I mean, I think that notion of like you just trying to like wait and see is is important, and that's kind of something that I've had to like kind of learn, you know, because I've like wanted to get things done like now, like what, you know, I want to be in a certain place in my life as fast as possible because I feel like I only have so much time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I turned 19, I realized like I didn't like getting older, you know, because I feel like wow, like I'm older, everyone around me is older. I'm getting closer to the finish line than I am like the beginning. Like type mentality. I know that might like not necessarily be true, but like what if it is? You know, I don't know. And it's like I have all these things that I want to do, but I think it's important sometimes to be like the journey is also important. And like sometimes you need to just chill out a day. You need to just vibe in your apartment. You need to just relax and have you time and realize that like if you rush it, it won't come. So I definitely understand that. You know, I understand that mentality. We are just about out of time as well. But I had a great time talking to you. I said it before we started, you know, you've helped me tremendously on my college journey, and helped me get numerous opportunities along the way. So I'm really grateful, and I'm happy I had your time here today. Is there anything else that you wanted to like shout out, like maybe for Jane Doe in the future or whatever else you're doing?
Watch Jane Doe's virtual readings April 9th through 11th. Um, I have a website. It's hbombmedia.com. Follow my Instagram, harmony.michaela, all that. There's really nothing. I've tried to not pack myself so tightly right now, so I'm just vibing. I'm just vibing.
All right, good.
But yeah.
Good. Thank you again for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. That's it, everybody, for this week's. I almost said Wind Down Wednesday. Jesus. That's it for the Star Sit Down. You guys have a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye.